What's up, Midnight Gamers? It's Dan, aka Dr. Blunts, and this is my video game history. Before I start, I need to get high, and I need to find my list. So, let me grab that for you guys. Okay. Now I can get going here. So, I want to start off by saying I'm the admin here. I'm one of the admins here. I was added a few months ago. I've been contributing to this page since they added me to it. It's a wonderful page, very positive. One of the things that really drew me to it was everybody has positive posts. Everybody gets along really well. The admins kept up on everything. They didn't let people fight or anything like that. So this page really drew me into it. And it was so much better than the unpopular opinion groups. I was so sick of that and everybody bickering and everybody baiting each other. So this was a breath of fresh air. So I instantly added a lot of my friends, and they post a lot on here too when they're not busy. And ever since then, the page has really taken off. The admins worked really hard. Jeff and Jack fucking worked their asses off. Tom worked his ass off. Everybody did. Ian, Josh. And one of the things, this page, I've been going through some up and downs this year. And this page has really helped me get through a lot of those ups and downs. And I can't thank you guys enough for that. I've made a lot of friends on here. You guys, I've played with a couple of you guys. So much fun, okay? I really enjoy being here. And I'm so glad you guys added me. I'm so glad you guys made me admin. So with that said, I'm going to say, like, I started doing streams on here. That was influenced by Jeff. He's a really good streamer, so his charisma and his character on there really influenced me to go on there. And my influences for when I'm on here, when I do whatever on here, when I'm live streaming or talking to you, my influences are more like the Angry Video Game Nerd, Ross's Game Dungeon, stuff like that. Not so much Pat the Video Game Punk or like Dreamcast Guy. Those guys are a lot different than me, but I still respect them. I like their personalities. I like the news they keep up with, but more along the line, I'm more like Alpha Omega Sin or Video Game Nerd. Be the best way to describe my persona on here. I've always been a metalhead, hippie, punk kind of guy, but through all that, I had my geeky side, like comic books, movies, definitely a music snob, but I've always been a gamer since I was a little fucking kid. So we're going to start with the history of that. Back in the 80s, my cousin used to watch me all the time. My parents both worked. So he had the Atari. So I played a lot of Atari growing up, like your Food Fight, you know, Asteroids, stuff like that, like your basic games, your Pac-Man. I played a lot of arcades too, growing up in the 80s. I'll always remember this. My parents used to like go shopping, like my family. So we get a hotel out in Ohio. It's a huge swimming pool, this huge restaurant there, and a huge arcade. I'd spend so much hours in this arcade. Pinball, X-Men, Simpsons. I love those games. So that was what I spent a lot of my time doing back then, video game wise. And then I finally got a Nintendo for Christmas the one year. And ever since then, I've just been hooked on video games. Of course, start off with Mario and Duck Hunt. That was the definite original. That was the definite original games I played and got hooked onto. But NES had so much awesome games. You had Mega Man 2. You had Castlevania, Ghost and Goblins. You had Contra, Metroid, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, Legend of Zelda. It was just full of amazing games, and the Famicom had some too, but I never played that stuff. So the main games I really liked was Super Mario Brothers 3, Mario 2, Mega Man 2, Mega Man 3, definitely stuff like Captain Skyhawk, and that's a good point. When I was a kid, we had these games, the soccer games, and there's certain games with these European things on them, so we had to get our Nintendos modded and have a chip put in there so we can play these games. Kind of like weird how like you don't think of that stuff today too much. You know, people do that stuff back then so you can play games like that, like regional codes and stuff. That's how you got around it. So yeah, I had to do that to be able to play Captain Skyhawk. And back then we used to get off of school on Fridays, and we used to rent games. And if we didn't have a lot of homework and it was going to be a shitty weekend out, or it was the winter time, because I live in Pennsylvania, so you get a lot of winter and you're snowed in a lot. So video games really comes in handy for that. You have a sleepover or something. Sometimes you get an awesome game you never heard of just comes out. Sometimes you get stuck with a turd, and that just pisses you off because you played anyways because you rented it, you know, and you and your friends are sitting there flipping out, you know. So not soon after that, I got a Genesis, and that was a little bit of a different system back then too. Graphics were better, the sound was so much different, but the games were a lot more mature. So there was games on there like Decap Attack, there was games on there like Haunting, Mutant League Football, amazing games. I loved the Genesis growing up. Sonic 3 was probably one of my favorites, Sonic and Knuckles. But the thing about the Genesis was it gave you a shit for RPGs. But the RPGs they did have on there were badass. You had Phantasy Star, and then you had fucking Shining Force. And Shining Force 2, in my opinion, is one of the best RPGs ever made. So I think that's really cool. My favorite game for Genesis, of course, is Haunting, made by EA. Your little ghoul goes around jumping in and out of things, scaring the shit out of people and trying to scare them out of your homes. Many fun days playing that game. Another one of the games I rented all the time, never actually owned it. You know, there's a lot of games that I've beaten that I've rented that I've never owned. So I've also had the Sega Master System, but it was really hard to find games on it. It was at the end of its lifespan. I had Wonder Boy for it, and I had the game that came with it, and that was it. It was just a racing game. I really liked it, but like I said, I didn't have any games for it. But yeah, that was something. You couldn't even rent games for that thing. That thing was definitely really, really, really hard to come by. A really hard to come by product there. I've also had the Game Boy, which was a lot of fun, but I didn't have a lot of games for it, but the ones I did have were amazing. I had Metroid, Kirby, which in my opinion is the most powerful video game character of all time. That's for another video. My favorites, though, are definitely Zelda. I love Zelda for that, the original one, Link's Awakening, and Donkey Kong. Donkey Kong was packed full of 100 levels. It was so much fun. I still play it to this day. I thought it was amazing. So, yeah, that was it, too. Then soon after, I got the Super Nintendo. The Super Nintendo was, Super Nintendo was amazing, okay? That's one of my favorite systems of all time. So I got that and it blew me away. I'll never forget seeing Super Nintendo in the Nintendo Power magazines whenever I got those. And I couldn't believe the graphics. And to this day, I think Super Nintendo's graphics hold up very well. So, yeah, so you had games like updated games of your old ones like Contra, Castlevania. They redid the first one. Super Adventure Island, Super Ghouls and Ghosts. So you had a lot of that stuff. Nintendo also pulled at the end of the lifespan. You had FX Racer and you had Star Fox, which was amazing back then. And to this day, I think are a lot of fun. Space Armada is one of my favorites. But that system had things like Chrono Trigger, Earthbound, Super Metroid, Super Mario World was great. It then had RPGs out the ass. Like, I mean, you had Final Fantasy VI, which was Final Fantasy III over here. But, I mean, you had so many wonderful, fantastic games on there. I have wonderful memories of it. Illusion of Gaia was a really, really, really good one. Secret of Mana. Square Enix just became a boss when that thing came out. I think that's what boosted Square Enix in the next level, and PlayStation itself also really helped them with that too. And then after that, This is whenever I broke off. I was never really into console works. I had them all. I didn't have like TurboGrafx because that shit was expensive. So I played it with like my cousins once in a blue moon. But other than that, I never really fucking played TurboGrafx or any of those really hard to find things. I just had the mainstream systems. But I never really gave them the works. I had them both. Once the PlayStation 1 came out and Nintendo 64, a lot of people had the 64, and I played that a lot in college. Get Smash Brothers, you put that shit up to 99 lives, and every time you get knocked off, you gotta take a drink. So yeah, you know. But I like the Star Fox in there, and I did like the Nintendo 64, but it wasn't my thing. I went to the PlayStation. That's ever since then I've been a PlayStation fanboy, through and through. So PlayStation 1 had amazing things like Final Fantasy. It had like Final Fantasy 7, which is a masterpiece. Wild Arms was probably my favorite game on the PlayStation. Poi Poi, it's kind of like a dodgeball type game. You just sort of shoot each other. That was a fun little rental game. Let me go do this real quick. I have my door open. So yeah, you have Poi Poi, Cool Borders, Armor Core, Crash Bandicoot, Spyro. So PlayStation 1 was just a really amazing system. Sadly though, like it had like Tomba 2 and stuff like that. The games were amazing, but they did not hold up graphically today. Like Gex Enter the Gecko, I bought that on my PS3, and it was almost unplayable because the graphics were so ugly. It just hurt my eyes. But they're doing remakes now, but that's a lot of money for these companies, so we're not going to see that for everything. Especially for some of those underrated gems like Tomba 2 and Kloa and stuff like that. Those games you'll never see a remake for, and it's sad because those games are worth playing to this day, but they're just so ugly. So then after that, I got the PlayStation 2, and this is before I got married and everything. So this was before a quick little break from me gaming, actually. So I played stuff on there like Shadow of the Colossus was one of my favorite games ever. God of War came out for that. That's a big thing. PlayStation 2 was a big revolutionary system. Spider-Man 2, Katamari Damacy, The Warriors. There's so many great games on there. Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter. They have some great mascot characters that never took off like Mario did. Most of the mascot characters since Mario just sank except for Sonic. Like they'd come, but they didn't have a lasting impact, or their games would be just so spaced out, you know. Then I got married and I had kids and stuff, so I really didn't play much there. I think the last games I played from that was the Dragon Quest that came out for that, and Final Fantasy 12. And after that was a pretty elongated break. I didn't really buy any games or anything like that. I quit playing for a while. I had to raise my daughter. I had a wife and everything, worked a lot, you know, bills, blah, blah, blah. So fast forward to about 2011, I got a divorce. I was sitting around, and like at the time, my big thing was watching movies and listening to music, but that kind of got old, you know, especially on days when I'm at home and I didn't have my wife and kids there anymore. I was, you know, in my apartment. So I got a PlayStation 3, and I grabbed Ghostbusters and Battlefield with that shit. Ghostbusters I thought was cool, but the endless maze of what the fuck levels was kind of like a big turnoff for it and stuff like that. And, but I mean, I thought that was a cool game. I love Ghostbusters. But it had like Battlefield was probably my favorite on there because I put so much hours into it. I met a lot of cool people that I still talk to today. Carl Bailey, he's a member up here. He's a pretty active member. I don't think he's been active for a little bit now, but he's a really, really, really good fucking guy. So, I mean, I've met some really cool people playing Battlefield. I've had so much fun playing it, brushed up on my FPS skills, everything like that. But the main thing is, like, about PlayStation 3 is one of the most disappointing systems I've ever played as well. Because the AAA titles were $60 polished turds. They were pretty, they look cool. Sometimes they were fun to play, but dude, you beat them in 10 hours. So I just paid $60 for 10 hours of video game. I wasn't too happy. Hitman Absolution was a good example of that. And there was a lot of glitches that I could get over. Sometimes they're funny as hell, but like seriously, $60. So I had a big issue with that with the PlayStation 3. So there was a lot of games that I did like on there, like Terraria and indie games like that, were the ones that I really put time into. I like the Puppeteer, the 2D side scrollers and stuff like that. I grabbed like the old Mega Mans and stuff on there, but the PS3 overall is disappointing. Other than the multiplayer, I had fun doing multiplayer on there with Battlefield, but overall, Like I said, the PlayStation 3 would be at the bottom of the list of the systems I've owned. And I still had a blast with it. That's not saying I hated the system. I loved it. But it's just there's just certain disappointments to it that I couldn't overlook. Like I said, mainly the AAA titles were just very pretty. They took a long time to design, but they just weren't as good. So then, a couple years before I got this apartment, I decided to get a PS4. Now when it first came out, I know the PS4's exclusives weren't that good. There's still good games to be had, but most exclusives were junk. When I got it, most exclusives were junk. So I got it and I was buying indie games again, just going off the trend. I got Oxy Verge and Broforce and stuff like that I was mainly grabbing. What games changed me on this one, though, was Horizon Zero Dawn, Doom Eternal, or not Eternal, but Doom, the new one that came out, Final Fantasy 15, Wolfenstein, God of War, Spider-Man. There's so many amazing games that came out in here, AAA titles. The Witcher, and you're getting hundreds of hours with your money for these. You're getting anywhere from 50 to 100 hours out of your money now. PlayStation 4 completely fixed my problems I had with the PS3. And another thing I really like about the PS4 is all the couch co-op games on here, like Helldivers, Overcooked, your Jackbox. I've been having a lot, and this really sparked up big interest in a lot of people. I've been having gamers, casual and like hardcore gamers alike, coming over for gamer parties, and we do it regularly, once a week now. So it's become a regular thing. I love it. And it's because this system, and they know what they're fucking doing, and they bring their Xbox over, and their Xbox has a lot of that stuff too. But I didn't speak about the Xbox because I really don't have experience with the Xbox, just other than a handful of times here. I'm not going to comment on it, like whether I like it or not, because I don't have enough experience for it. And the games I did play with my friends, I had fun with. So yeah, I think it's a good system too, as far as where I went. But like I said, I can't really give you a fair judgment on that. But that's where I end up at right now. Like the last couple games, I highly suggest Celeste. It's one of my favorite games for the PS4, and it's an old school game, like a retro game. Tetris Effect. Me and my girlfriend played the hell out of that game. It is so much fun. It is mind-blowingly intoxicating. It is so much fun. And also where I'm going to leave off into, I'm going to say where gaming is now. I've passed on the gaming torch to my children. My daughter loves gaming. She has a 3DS. She plays Pokemon, Mario. She challenges herself all the time. You guys have seen her stream on here. She streams on here with me sometimes on the weekends. And we have a blast doing these. So yeah, now they play it, my son plays it, and they're both hell of gamers too. They struggle a little bit, of course, but so do I, so do you guys, so does everybody. And they have a blast playing it. So that's pretty much, it comes full circle now. Now I play games with my daughter, I play games with my son and everything like that, and as they get older, we'll be playing more games together, new Diablos, and roguelike RPGs and stuff like that. So it's really exciting for me to be able to pass that torch on to them and everything like that. And I want to thank everybody that sat through this video and listened to me this whole time just ramble on about my video game experiences. I don't have too many stories to say per se, other than it kept me out of trouble for the most part. Now, I still like to smoke and drink and stuff and play games, but it does keep me out of a lot of trouble. So yeah, I really, really, really love it. It takes me away from my problems in the world and puts me in someone else's shoes. And that's the most wonderful thing about video games, is you're not you anymore. You get to go and travel. It's like a vacation from everything. That's the best way I can describe it. So anyone that doesn't understand your love for video games, if you want to use that as your example, that's the best one that I have to give to people when they ask me, what do you like about video games? Why do you play it so much? And that's why. Life is stressful. And so I go and I solve problems on here, and it really clears your mind sometimes. Or just gets you away from your difficulties you're having in life. So I'm glad that I got to meet everybody in here. The people that I interact with are wonderful. I have nothing bad to say about anybody. I've made some wonderful friends in here. Kyle Hess, Ian, Jeff, Jack. People are amazing. Josh, I can't forget you, buddy. So, and like I said, I know you guys are all going to watch this. Um, Michael, Brian, Jack, Ball, uh, Ryan, Martha, you guys all have contributed to this page, and I can't thank you enough. And it really helped the page bloom and blossom like that. Because when I got added, and when you guys got added, there was like maybe 200 people. Now we're going up to like almost 800 people, and it's going strong. And a lot of that has to do with everyone to post, And I like that because Jeff is one hell of an admin because he acknowledges that stuff in the Midnight Gamer News. And that's another thing I love about this. The fun sketches and videos and just the interaction people have and the personalities that we share with each other. That's amazing. And he acknowledges everybody that posts on here and the main contributors because you guys make this page go. It doesn't stay stagnant because you guys are constantly making the water flowing. And I love all you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you watch my streams. I hope I get to watch your streams. I hope I get to see your posts and everything. And I hope we all get to talk and interact. And most importantly, I hope someday we all log on here and we all sign into a game and we all play together because that's the most rewarding part about all this. And another thing, I do want to meet everybody. So if we want to someday, I'd really like to get a convention going or a meetup or something like that. I hear Chicago is the world's largest arcade bars in the world. They have the most. Maybe we can see if plan something for a year or two. Everybody meet up down there that can, And if and I wouldn't even mind pitching in to help people get down there. You know what I mean? If I can afford it, I would. So we'll see and everything like that. I can't wait to see where this page goes from here. And like I said, I can't wait to interact with everybody again. Thank you very much, and you gotta have a wonderful night.